Good afternoon and welcome back to Chief Data Officer Europe 2017. My name's Adam Plom from Corinium Intelligence and I'm joined by Brijesh Balakrishnan from Mesh, the experience agency. Thank you for joining us, Brijesh.
Hi Adam, thank you. Thank you for having me here.
No problem at all. I know you've just come off a very interesting panel discussion, so I want to jump straight in and talk a little bit more about that. The session revolved around data democratization and empowering colleagues to leverage data to improve the bottom line. Can you give us some examples and talk about the challenges that come with using data to, really improve the numbers?
Yeah. So in any organization, empowering people is the best way to run the organization, let alone data. So in my organization, Mesh, the experience agency, where we have set up the data infrastructure from scratch, where we have a core central data function, a data governance function, and also the team which manages the centralized data architecture, which serves as the foundation platform for all our accounts and the client teams. So data is at the forefront of everything what we do, because we are a data heavy agency, because we get data from all our different market research studies, our real-time experience tracking study. So data is at the forefront through the business completely. So it could be serving the general brand health reporting and real-time experience reporting, or doing analytical function on top of it to understand how the different campaigns of the clients are performing effectively, what are the different key metrics which need to be tracked, etc. So data is at the bottom line, but previous to having a CDO function, that was not maximized, the value of data was not maximized. But now we are able to do that primarily because of a data function as a data practice in the organization.
So something you touched on there was kind of life before the CDO and what it looks like now with the CDO role, which obviously you are. How do you effectively structure that Chief Data Officer role to really get the most out of your organisational data and to get the best returns from your staff, essentially?
That's a great question, Adam. So the role itself is completely a business role. Even though I am from a technical background before I joined Mesh, which is a great asset for the organization because of my experience working in business intelligence platform, data warehousing solutions, implementing databases, etc. But the primary motive here at Mesh was to me working with the business, understanding their pain points or challenges. So the first 3 months, I really spend my time talking to different accounts. When I mean accounts, all the regional teams. We are a global company and we have offices in Brazil, we have offices in New York and also in London. But being a core data, being the global data team, I need to connect with all these different audiences and understand their pain points around data. So it could be like their monthly reporting, it could be their yearly reporting, quarterly reporting, and how they do their ad hoc analysis on the market research data. So all those challenges or the pain points is what my job was. So really, I didn't have a defined way of doing things. Rather, my role was to respond to those business challenges.
And so now, obviously, you've taken on board those challenges. You've understood the pain points. How are you, as the CDO, managing, I guess, the digital transformation, if you like? How are you managing that journey?
Right. So my digital transformation journey within Mesh started with putting an infrastructure in place, because that is the foundation before you start any application development or data or analytics of anything of that sort, because we were a data company even before I joined Mesh. But what was lacking was that digital journey where we need to have a robust infrastructure, we need to be scalable for future requirements, we need to have a centralized database or centralized data warehouse which would serve all the reporting functions within the business, making us as a self-sufficient agency and also helping us to leap forward into future for doing any advanced analytics, creating new products out of the data what we have. So that's all possible only to have an infrastructure. So that was the first step in the digital transformation. And second is being putting the right set of processes and people around it, because obviously you need an agile process or agile mechanism to manage all your transformations which are happening within your data units, and also how you get requirements from different accounts or clients into your data function. So you need an agile process in place. So that was put in place. And thirdly, the team to execute that. And now the challenge what we are facing in the digital transformation journey is whether these solutions are scalable, right? We have previously, when we started with an on-premise infrastructure. Now we have to move to a cloud-based infrastructure with we are having solutions running on Amazon, AWS. We have solutions running on Windows Azure. We are looking into that, and we are also looking into Google BigQuery, for example. So we are looking at solutions for scale. Now it's been all this time, it's been like being self-sufficient. We are able to run the operations, but what is the next step? To scale for future requirements, to manage these huge amounts of data. We have collected around 5 to 10 years of data for some of the clients. So we wanted to get maximum value out of this. So you need a scalable infrastructure. So we are moving into the cloud journey, or software as a service journey through the cloud to enable for the scalability requirements.
So you touched on it in kind of the middle part there about people, process, and technology.
Correct.
And obviously you've spoken about the technology there, and also about the importance in having the process.
Yeah.
I'm always keen to touch on the people side.
Yeah.
How do you unlock a productive and fruitful data-driven culture? How do you put people to work, and how do you get people to buy into what you do?
Yeah. So that really has been through advocates from different teams. So even though we have a technical data function, core technical data function, the first person who joined the team after I put the infrastructure in place and everything to start the development has been a business person. An analyst who worked in a client account team has been brought into our team, just because of the fact that that person showed the interest in data analysis, comfortable dealing with vast amounts of data, and trying to, kind of having a passion for data. So really the productive data culture comes in having the right mindset, where people have this passion towards data. So people who are not, thrown away by dealing with spreadsheets, not thrown away by seeing vast amounts of data, not thrown away by different platforms or tools, who like to navigate through those challenges. Those are the people I was looking for. And the one example I gave you was from an account team. I found a person who knows the market research business but didn't have an opportunity to tap the data potential. So I brought them. Then I got technical people who have been comfortable working with databases and have worked in the past with some data functions and things like that. So I have assembled a team like this, having a person with the domain knowledge, having a good passion about data, and I really trained them. So now what I've got is, like, with that passion towards data, they are able to even assimilate new concepts, new technologies and everything, and they are being self-sufficient now. Today, they are managing the operations, the data operations, the day-to-day reporting, the monthly reports, everything runs through this team. So some of the core points to highlight in this journey has been identifying the people with the right mindset, then that passion towards data. Secondly, to train them, cross-train them with the right skills which they need to run the data function. And third is like always keeping them involved with the challenges and giving them the right independence to go through some of the motions, because not every time I've stepped for the team, I've not kind of handheld every time. First, I train them, I give them the opportunity. Sometimes they go through the challenges, which helps them to learn much quicker. And my team always says, like, in the first 1 year or 1.5 years of joining the team, the pace they learned things has been very quick, because it was learning through experience. And then, we use these learnings to refine the solutions, further automate the solutions, optimize the solutions. So it's a dynamic practice. You can't have a solution built and then that solution stays because the business challenges are evolving. The accounts feel that the clients feel that no, this solution doesn't serve our purpose. Can you bring in another tool? We got to buy another tool, train them, do them. So it's very dynamic practice. So really some of the processes I would say or highlights I would say to unlock a productive data culture has been applying a lean process, lean process design where we don't overcomplicate things, keep things simple so that everyone can understand, whether it's account team, whether it's data team. And second, having regular conversations on different technologies that can be used to unlock the value of the data. Third is like enabling smoother communication. This is internal as well as external. So data team as a CDO or a data function, you need to gain the respect about from the different stakeholders within the business. And somebody said it doesn't stand for data, it stands for diplomacy. I strongly believe in it. If a data team can also be very diplomatic in communicating the challenges either way and getting to understand the requirements and also putting the data function forward with other teams, that scores the maximum than any other technology or any other tools you would offer. So diplomacy along with data is absolute truth, and there is no question on that, and I've seen that in my experience. So I strongly go with that D for diplomacy. And then knowledge sharing and also transparency, which is very important. So the people are aware what are the challenges the data team goes through and what is required. It's like a mutual relationship. The stakeholders need to understand the challenges for data, and the data has to need to understand the challenges of the different stakeholders within the business. And this coherent partnership is what makes both the business a success and also the data a success.
So one final question for you, because I know you're a proponent of kind of promoting the chief data officer role. You like to help, I guess, educate around the role and what it means and what it does. So what one piece of advice would you give to perhaps an aspiring CDO who's starting out on this journey?
I would request anyone, based on the experience what I had with Mesh, is been the CDO need to be an enabler for business. So his first partnerships comes with the business stakeholders, not with the technical teams or IT teams. He need to be associated with the senior stakeholder within the business. And I was lucky I had the CEO backing. Not every organization would get an CEO backing your initiatives. You might be reporting to the CFO, you might be reporting to the CEO, COO. So in my case, the CEO was my sponsor, the CEO was my main stakeholder, and in that way I was able to drive change within the organization much quickly than anybody else working for any other reporting head would do. So irrespective of that matter, its main thing is associating with the senior stakeholders within the business, head of business functions, so that they can be an advocate for you into their departments. It's very difficult to reach within other departments from an external role and kind of enforce or influence them like their boss would do. So essentially it has to go from their own unit departmental head. So business stakeholders comes first, and secondly, so most of the time a CDO has to spend understanding the business challenges, working with the stakeholders. Secondly, he has to work on the architecture and infrastructure. So because obviously everything what he is talking with the business or what he is trying to prove has to go through this infrastructure. So the engineering, the infrastructure, putting the processes that has absolute importance in place. So that is the second one. And third one is the team, which when I mean team is the process and the team together. So he has to put the right processes in place and also the right team, the right individuals, where I said having the growth mindset, whether they want to grow within the data function or whether they want to grow themselves, having that growth mindset and responding to the changes or challenges. So because this is a dynamic unit, it can't be static ever because of growing data needs, and changes from external environments too, so that dynamic individuals who can respond to challenges. So if you see that effort split for a CDO, it would be 25% on with the business stakeholders, 50% at least with the 50 to 75% with the infrastructure development and overseeing the team, and 25% to manage the processes, the communication channels happening between the accounts and as well as or the client teams or the clients, different clients, and the data function. So if a CDO can organize his time between IT and development functions and the business functions and as well as the process and team, having this overall rounded personality or the rounded distribution of functions will get the maximum value. So everyone appreciates your role within the organization. Otherwise, there is a risk of, again, data CDO role becoming, or a data function becoming, another siloed department within the unit, not integrating with the rest of the organization. And I think if that happens, obviously the CDO won't get the maximum benefit, nor the organization will get the maximum benefit. So having this distribution across different pillars, I would say it's absolutely vital.
Brijesh, as always, a pleasure. Thank you very much
Thank you,
indeed.
Adam. Thanks a lot.
Take
Thank you.
care.
Thanks.